The one thing that I feel like my generation and my community did really well is we did away with deadbeat dads. Now, that's saying when I say that, I'm saying for the most part. Of course, you're gonna have. Of course, you're gonna have idiots.
What I'm saying is at least partially.
Of course, you're gonna have idiots across whatever. But for the most part, we did, man. We eradicated deadbeat dads and became a part. And a lot of that had to do with what we experienced growing up, because we grew up in the we were crack babies. You know, our parents were on drugs or in jail from either, you know, using drugs or selling drugs. You know, we're 80s babies. So, and a lot of our fathers weren't in our lives. So like what they said, what my generation said was, we're going to be different and we're going to be in our child's lives. Really interesting, because we talked about the Aunt Edwards thing a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
From a standpoint of, we didn't know, like, he had a child from this lady and this and that, and sort of the issues they were having back and forth. They were on social media. The next chapter in this
is the same girl that was.
This is the same girl, right? Or older woman, if you will. And
how old is she?
I'll have to look it back up and see.
Okay.
Well, maybe not. I don't know. Scratch the last part of that. Okay. Now, basically, Aunt filed a motion, right, with the court. Is that the right way to say that there? And are you familiar with this story at all?
I am familiar with it. I mean, it could have been filing a motion, but I think you have to file like an action first, and then you can file a motion within the action.
Yeah, and they had it here. So he filed a motion declaring that he wants no part in visitation or custody of his 4-month-old daughter with 37-year-old. Okay, Aisha. Okay. So he's 23. She'll be 38 this year. Okay.
Where do you think he found her?
Yeah, the old folks home. So listen,
you're probably her age.
So, and now I remember 100%. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about, he told her in a text message that he wanted to have her abortion. Have an abortion.
And she obviously didn't.
Didn't, and she ended up having a child. Yeah. Now he filed the motion saying, I don't want visitation. I just want to pay child support and be done with it.
Right.
And my initial thoughts on this, because there's tons of comments on social media, and they're saying different things. My thing is this. The one thing that I feel like my generation and my community did really well is we did away with deadbeat dads. Now, that's saying, when I say that, I'm saying for the most part. Of course, you're gonna have. Of course, you're gonna have idiots.
What I'm saying is at least partially.
Of course, you're gonna have idiots across whatever. But for the most part, we did, man. We eradicated deadbeat dads and became a part. And a lot of that had to do with what we experienced growing up, because we grew up in the we were crack babies. You know, our parents were on drugs or in jail from either, you know, using drugs or selling drugs. You know, we're 80s babies. So, and a lot of our fathers weren't in our lives. So like what they said, what my generation said was, we're going to be different and we're going to be in our child's lives. And that was sort of like a movement. And that's one thing. We did a lot of things wrong in this generation, but that's one thing I feel like we did right. Now, along the lines, out the past generations, we're getting more and more away from that. And the excuse they mostly use is like, oh, my baby mama. You know, there was a viral song for whatever 2 to 3 years ago. Time flies, it's gonna be a little longer. And it was like, you know, my baby mama tripping. She won't let me see my son. And the whole song was about how he can't be in his child's life because his baby mama won't allow her to. And that's bullshit, because you have to you're young enough and should be smart enough to understand how to utilize the court system if that's what you guys are going through in order to get visitation for your child. If that's what it comes down to, you have all full parental rights to do that. Okay, you just have to take the time and the effort to do it,
and the money.
Yeah. But there's other ways even around that. It doesn't have to be that. You're going to need that anyway to pay child support. But to get visitation for your child, that's not necessarily the case, to spend a bunch of money. Now, my thing on Anthony Edwards, he does have the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's agreeing to pay child support. But I think this is what I call fuckboy mentality, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you decided to sleep with this old lady, man, with no condom, okay? And then you took it a step further and decided to nutting her. Now, if something where you was jacking off in a sock and then she took the sock and went to the doctor and got inseminated and all that, all right, man, you got me, okay, all right. But you went through the act. That's not the case. You went through the act, had sex with this lady. You took the next step and had your goodies and came inside this lady, okay. Now it's time to play the part, okay? This lady had a child. It's your child. You know it's your child. All that part is done. You have to man up and be in this child's life. And you're a fucking NBA superstar. And the last thing I'll say is we left last season, and during last season, we thought Anthony Edwards was the next Michael Jordan. When this whole time, he's really the next Karl Malone. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. I thought about this. all the way through. I know what you're gonna say. Karl Malone slept with an underage girl and got a pregnant. Didn't want to be in the child's life. He did. Anthony Edwards. They're in the same club, just they're in a different line for drinks. Okay, because instead of that, he just went and knocked up an older lady, and it's just, you know what I mean, and wasn't. And decided not to be a part of his child's life, okay? It's a slightly different circumstances, but it's the same person, okay? You made up the same DNA.
You made up the same DNA. No, I agree with you. I mean, this is I can't, just personally, I cannot imagine making that decision. That you have a child that's your child biologically, and you're saying, I don't want anything to do with you. That's crazy to me. Even if you're going to do the financial support thing, but the being in their life, how many kids, and people have been in a situation where a parent has left them or chose not to be involved with them, or perhaps given them up for adoption. That leaves that person with an entire lifetime of why.
Yeah.
Like, I am a person, I'm a baby, I grow to be an adult, and this person who's my biological parent made a decision to say, I don't want to be around you. Like, that is scarring, destructive behavior. And to me, it's unacceptable. It's really shameful and despicable that he would make that decision.
No, 1,000%. Now, she responded today or yesterday and said, everybody's stressing how kids need a father. No, kids need good fathers. And if one's intentions are not to be such, then his existence is pointless anyway. Moving right along. And that's her, that's her, whatever, doing the thing. But
I get where she's coming from, but I also think she's being a little short-sighted on it. Now, in my mind, if you have a parent that is abusive, if you have a parent that cannot control their vices, if it's drugs or alcohol, and they're actually a threat to the peace and growth and development of the child, that statement
that's the
applies.
Comment. Okay.
I don't think it applies here. I do think she's probably trying to make the most of what's a bad decision on the part of Anthony Edwards' part. She's given no choice in this. Like, if he's saying, I'm not going to be involved other than to cut you a check, like, she has to make the most of it. She's that child's only real parent at this point.
Yeah.
And you got to do what you got to do to make that child's life the best, and I hope she does that. But I don't 100% agree with the statement, because I think the statement, to me, applies to somebody that's literally in active danger to the child's life and existence and development.
And what a lot of people are saying on social media, which I just think is nuts, but they're saying like, oh, well, her whole plan from the beginning was to trap him, and it's his decision, and it's okay for him to make the decision to not want to be in the child's life because he didn't want the baby to begin with. All of that is just horse shit. It's horse manure served on a platter. Like you know what I'm saying? It takes two to tango. No matter if that was her plan from the beginning, no, it doesn't matter. He took the steps. He should have seen that. If that is the case, which we don't know, if that is the case, he should have seen that coming from a mile away. You know, he has other children from other mothers. You need to learn from that. You know what I mean?
That's another thing. It's that I have a big issue with. We could say that you're 22, 23 years old when these events are happening and you're a young person.
Young and dumb.
But it's not a good enough excuse.
It's not.
When you come up through, the sports stardom, or, even entertainment stardom or whatever, you have to and do mature in a different way than other kids and your age, other peers. That's part of the gig, and you have resources around you. You have a team that drafted you and put millions into you. You have teammates and things like that have been through these situations before, and you're basically just proceeding like an idiot to put yourselves in these situations and to do it multiple times.
Yeah.
If it happens to you once, like shame on but if it happens to multiple, it's shame on you. What the hell are you thinking? You can't be this naive as you navigate through life, as a person that has some money and some stardom. Like,
Facts.
you are a target for people to do stuff. And it doesn't even have to be like 100% like, I would never talk to this person but for the fact I think I can squeeze them for millions of dollars by getting pregnant. It doesn't even have to be that dramatic. It's just the thing. There's no excuse for having multiple kids in the same window of time with multiple women. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense, but at least be Tyreek Hill. At least be whatever. Don't be the guy that's just out front. Now, listen. He has plenty of time to change his mind. The baby is 4 months old. We saw in the picture. I think they said.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be. So he has plenty of time to have a change of heart, and hopefully he does, and is a part of this child's life. But as things change right now, like we're saying, that's just ludicrous and nuts. And he's a guy that he's came out and said he doesn't want to be the face of the league, but he can't be the face of the league if he's going to continue doing things like this.
He's done it to himself because at this point last year he was all in. And he was doing everything right. And since the season ended, he just has not made many good decisions at all. On the court or off.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing pretty well.
Yeah. I mean,
but again, it just has not gone well for him, and he's kind of showing this is not the way to go. I mean, it does speak to the other LeBron thing about who would want to be the face because of the criticism and this and that, and that's a different conversation. It's completely understandable, but it truly is one of the things that whether you like LeBron or not, you have to applaud his handling of his career and just how he is, stayed out of negativity and stayed out of these types of scandals and stupidity, for 20 plus years here being in the spotlight. It's not easy, because there are people that, that want to take
vultures.
Vultures.
Yeah, man.
And all that.
At every stop.
And there is there is going to be constant negative noise. For all that you're accomplishing, there's always going to be a negative public concert, basically, against you.
Yeah.
And you have to get comfortable with that, so it's not affecting you and tearing you apart. And there's a lot of athletes, a lot of guys who've had careers that maybe started out okay, but when they talk later in life, that pressure, that spotlight, at the end of the day, they couldn't handle.
Yeah.
They were too impacted by the things that were being said about them and said around them that it affected ultimately their performance in the profession and then the viability of their career.